Hello folks, my name is Andrew Osipov. I'm the Principal Engineer with Cisco Security Business Group. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about threat-centric firewalls. A lot of my customers ask, what does it mean to have a threat-centric firewall versus a regular plain old firewall or next-generation firewall? So the common thing about stateful firewalls and even next-gen firewalls on the market is that they all start with being centered on the access policy. So if you look at the basic stateful firewall, you have things like IP addresses, you have things like TCP, UDP ports, and that's pretty much how you write your policies. It's very basic, it's very network-centric. So now when you create a next-gen firewall, what a lot of vendors do, they add things on top of this basic policy table. They add things like URL categories and URLs in general. A lot of vendors do add application identity into the equation. More abstraction is better, so user identity is also a big thing. So now you add all those different things, and now you got to call your firewall a next generation one. Now, mind you, all of this still centers around the access policy, and this is only applicable when you first create the connection. So you create the connection, the packet goes through the access policy, something is allowed or denied. It's relatively static, it's relatively in place there for the duration of the session. Now, do we do this type of policy enforcement in our threat-centric firewall, firepower threat defense? Absolutely. This is your basic policy element. We have to do it. We go a little bit further than just those basic elements. We provide you some nice integration with things like PX Grid for user identity. So you not only get your usernames from you logging into LDAP or Active Directory, but we also infuse a lot of extra content, a lot of extra metadata from ICE, such as geolocation, the type of device, that kind of granular profiling which helps you build a better policy. On the application side, we have something called Open App ID, where you can define your own application signature, so you don't have to rely on the vendor alone, us giving you a specific package of applications to detect, recognize, and allow or block within your policy. You have the freedom of going in there and actually designing your own application detectors and using them across your policy and reports. So all those different things we do at the time of policy creation still applies for firepower threat defense. And this is how we achieve close to 100% efficacy in terms of that basic permit or deny policy stage. And I say 100% because nothing in engineering is, I say close to 100% because nothing in engineering field is exactly 100%. It's an asymptote, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic about it. That's just me making a nerdy mathematical joke based on my college background. So anyway, that's how most firewalls and next-gen firewalls take care of the security process, security policy. Now, what is different about a threat-centric firewall like firepower threat defense? Well, like I said, we do all that, and we do it very efficiently, and we give you additional tools to make those things happen. But the fundamental architectural difference between the regular firewall, next-gen firewall, and a threat-centric firewall is that at the center here, it's not the policy. Policy is something that once the connection is created, traffic starts flowing. And I would argue that most of the attacks don't try to circumvent your policy. They try to attack applications and users and other flows that are actually permitted by your policy. This is where the fun thing starts. So at the centerpiece of a threat-centric firewall like FTD, we have the IPS engine and AMP engine. And those two engines look at traffic that's actually permitted by your security policy. And everything else, like application visibility and user identity module, and of course the AMP cloud and threat grid, our cloud-based sandboxing service, and things like operating system fingerprinting, and all those different modules, they feed into those two engines. And they continuously provide them relevant data to make decisions whether to allow or block traffic that's otherwise permitted by your security policy. So it's not only looking at what happens at the time the connection is created, but also what happens after the connection is created and for its duration, for how applications and users leverage your network. So that is the main difference between the regular firewall, next-gen firewall, and a threat-centric firewall, at how you look at traffic and how you permit or deny flows based not only on the static policy, but also on the runtime environment and the threats. Thank you very much. It's Andrew Osipov, and see you next time.